It's one thing at home to try a bunch of different things, with your pedals and effects and different riffs and stuff, but there's no audience there and there's no one you're interacting with.
This new Night Terror CD is a really good example of, I think, of mixing the composition stuff with a lot more of the freeform improvising.
So at least for me, it's about, this unlimited potential of what we can go to.
Hello, I'm Paul Stranahan. I am the drummer percussionist in the band Night Terrors. It's a group with me and guitarist Tim Mirth. I think Tim is my longest musical relationship with someone that I've been playing with for a lot of years now. Kind of first started, I had a trio, somewhat of a jazz trio with some fusion stuff thrown in, and Tim was a part of that. And then he went off to New York for a bit. And in the meantime, I had found a replacement for him with my trio. And then when Tim came back, he had an idea. Well, hey, what do you think about doing some heavier project that were pretty challenging and hard to work up, but it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed that a lot.
But for the most part, the things are sort of these vehicles to improvise with.
Tim and I sort of branched off and said, we're getting even more out from Insomnia. We went to Night Terrors.
I think it was back when we were doing these Paul Stranahan Insomnia gigs, and we started moving more into free territory.
Going pretty well, and I kind of wanted to get even more out there, pushing the boundaries as far as, especially on the improvising stuff.
So there'd be pieces where there's a lot of through composed sections, and then part of what was written in the score would say, free, and then there'd be these little cues to let you know when to start again. I think even originally, almost all of it was free. We'd have some sections that we would play together, but a lot of it was just completely like a free jazz avant-garde sort of thing. And it just kept evolving in different iterations. Like if you look at the first record, there's, saxophone, guitar and stuff. And so what's the Night Terrors project for me? Well, it's a place for me as a musician to really explore things like I've never had really the opportunity in a group to do.
I like the band a lot. We do a mix of, I would say, some fairly complex compositions, and mix that up with a lot of freeform improvisation.
I think one of the nice things about what Night Terrors is, at least from my perspective, is really is about listening and not intentionally ignoring each other. What I enjoy more is it's kind of like those jams you had when you were, your first bands or whatever, and you just playing a couple chords back and forth, and you sort of just see this thing evolve into something. We come up with ideas and we just sort of see how it all melds together, and then see if you can get out of it. It also means that every time we play, it's a completely different show. That doesn't mean that it's completely free either, so I spend quite a bit of time, sort of developing these sounds and stuff with different pedals, and I change the pedal order and sort of know stuff, but it's like, I would say 85-90% of it's sort of known sort of sounds to go for, but that there's always that 10%, 15% where I want it to be something that I'm not totally sure what's going to happen when I push the pedal, because I think that's part of what makes improvisation really interesting.
Working up some, like I said, some more difficult maybe compositions, and then but is also is open to kind of anything, and things can go anywhere and everywhere when we improvise together, which I think is great.
There's really no limit. If I want to just start strumming chords like cowboy chords, it's totally allowed. If I want to play the simplest melody, that's, Mary Had a Little Lamb, it's totally loud. If I want to play crazy atonal, insane zillion mile an hour things, it's fine. Crazy distortion or the prettiest thing ever, or just yelling into into the pickup or something. There's really no limit. And the neat thing is, unlike the first record, there is a lot of written stuff sort of intermingled.
Like, well, hey, I'll learn your song if you learn mine. And yeah, I think it's been a good collaboration that way. So Tim and I have also done another band called Red Side Visible, which pretty involved, very composition oriented, pretty heavy, kind of a progressive metal band with a horn section. And we are actually taking some of that music and putting that in Night Terror some, which is more of a stripped down version of some of those tunes.
Some of those songs were originally written for Red Side Visible and even made it on the recent album too. So you can hear a sort of different variety of, what does Night Terror sound like compared to Red Side Visible in the same song. This new record is pretty cool. We have so much material on this record. I think we left out about half of what we recorded at least, and we're still at a double album.
Something we've been doing in live sets for a while, but this is kind of first we have documented of kind of that concept of compositions mixed with freeform improvisation.
And I think sometimes you can probably tell, but I like the times where you can't tell, where you're like, wait, was that part of the song? Was that written before? Or who, where did that come from? The material recorded, most of the pieces, I guess some of the pieces were written by Paul, some by me.
And sometimes we have some guest people as well. Chris Bober is on our most recent recording that we just finished up here finally.
And the cool thing, we had Chris Bober come in and pretty much on, I think, about half the tracks or half the length of the tracks. He's playing with us. So Chris is another guitar player. So we tried before, and you never know what pedal he's going to push, and then he doesn't know what I'm going to push. So there's sort of interesting things that happen there, and I think there's some really nice moments where we lock in. I also play viola on this record, which is probably the first time I've ever had something that was viola that was just like a solo instrument. We recorded this with Michael Papatonis. Actually did 2 sessions there. Gear. What gear did I use? There's a Mesa back here. I actually didn't use the Mesa or the Marshall on this. I had this 65 amp head that I don't have anymore. Great amp. And that was the main guitar sound. I also had a secondary Fender Hot Rod Deluxe as the amp. For guitars, I use mostly my Schecter Banshee 7-string. And I have I think it was a Brian Moore that I used on the other tracks. And then a bunch of pedals. In particular, you'll hear quite a bit of the Mooger Fooger ring modulator. And so what's for the future of Night Terrors? I think what's exciting is getting this album out means we can go into the next chapter of Night Terrors and some new instrumentation, some new things, or some marimba.
Where I'm playing actually marimba and allophone, which is another keyboard percussion instrument.
I'm hoping to play more acoustic stuff. And like I said, there's really no limit. Maybe even some piano, keyboard stuff, and more viola. So we can kind of go anywhere.
Yeah, that's all I can think of for now. Hope you enjoy it.
Anyway, I'm excited for you to hear this record. Excited for the future. And see you. Let us know what you think.